Coach, how's the adjustment going for you here? Just kind of getting acclimated to new surroundings and new staff, new players, all that?
Yeah, it's going good. First of all, I got a great group of guys that I'm with, a veteran staff, Coach Bush and Chuck Cecil and Coach Waffle. Those guys are very experienced guys, so they make my adjustment pretty easy, and you got, a lot of leadership on the team with guys, Laurinaitis and Chris Long and Cortland Finnegan, those guys, so they make an adjustment easy for me, players and coaches, and and I knew some of the guys before I got here, so it's been going good.
What are those defensive meetings like? Everybody kind of pitching in different ideas and been in that way?
Yeah, well, we have a lot of familiarity anyway, from the connections that we've had, so it's been an easy transition with that stuff, with terminology and everybody being on the same page, so the adjustments have been relatively smooth.
You talk about Alec Ogletree and what you see out of him so far?
We expect big things out of him. He's a very talented young player that has a big upside. He's picking up things very well. He has great athletic ability, and he's showing his football intelligence. He's been able to pick up the scheme and been able to adapt. And you see, he's been making plays. He's got his hands on some balls and things like that. And we pleased with him and look for big things from him this season.
In terms of terminology, what types of things are maybe you adding to the mix, or are you kind of learning what was here already? How's that process?
We're keeping a mixed bag of stuff. Some of the stuff will be kept the same, and then we have some things we're tweaking a little bit, And, offenses are ever evolving, so you have to do the same thing on defense. A lot of stuff will be a lot of carryover, and you'll just tweak some things here or there to fit, some of the personnel we got and then some of the teams that we'll play.
How similar were things where you were in Detroit to what was here anyway?
Very similar, very similar. Like I said, there's a lot of carryovers, and that's what's made the adjustment pretty easy, and then having, like I said, a great group of guys and a staff to work with that's very experienced, that makes that transition easier. So the terminology and the language and that kind of stuff is an easy adjustment.
Coach, you had Rams hopefully lead the league in sacks last year. Most of that group on that line is coming back. How important is that going to be in terms of offense to have that line, that same line back that put a lot of pressure on a lot of guys last season?
Yeah, that'll be big. And we expect the same type of results. You know what I mean? We're going to try to do the same thing. That's the strength of our defense. Those guys up front, we have depth up there. And then, we're going to try to do things to complement them because, obviously offenses are going to try to, not let them repeat that, So we're going to keep it going. Obviously those guys play hard. They chase the ball. That's the thing we do. They play with great effort. We have the 11 guys that chase the ball right here. So they'll help add to, making that job easier for those guys to try to get to the quarterback.
The ability to get pressure on quarterbacks, is that especially important in this division where there are quarterbacks who like to get out and run?
Oh, no question. It's important that you can get pressure on it. The good thing that we have a front four that can do it. We have depth at that position. And then, we have some linebackers and DBs, that can blitz and do things that can add pressure also to give different looks to, to try to not always have to rely on the four-man rush. But we have that as a tool to go to because those guys can, they can go.
Coach Fisher has talked about TJ and growing up in football, he just seems to get it. When he's thrown into the fray like that, do you notice right away that maybe he's able to grasp some of the concepts and use stuff, I guess, from growing up and get right into it?
Yes, he's been around football, all his life, and he picks up things very well. It was a short learning curve for him, but he's grasping things, and you can see his athletic ability, and he's making the transition very well. And we're looking forward to big things out of he and Ogletree. The same boat. Two young guys that we're looking to step in and do great things for us. But the football IQ on both of those guys are really good.
That safety position as a whole has had quite a bit of turnover. Just kind of what are your general impressions of what you've seen from the guys back there?
Well, I'm excited so far. You got a chance to see TJ come in and get a lot of reps right now. So he's been able to step in and pick up things fast. And then you have Rodney McLeod that's showing a lot of good things. He was on the team last year and shows his athletic ability. And like I said, I'm impressed by the way guys pick things up. The learning curve of those guys. And then you have Stewart. That the same way. Those three guys that are. We think that we'll have a good group of guys back there that'll be able to help us a lot.